welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Today, we're going to talk about WWE Most Wanted Treasures, Episode 2, Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, and Paul Bearer. So this is a very short episode because they didn't do a lot of traveling this time. They basically, a lot of the stuff that they wanted, Kane and Undertaker already had. So it was pretty much a lot of it was them telling the story behind the different gear that they were looking for. But the three things that they were looking for was the Undertaker's purple gear, which debuted in 1994 and retired in 1996. The purple gear, for people you don't know, is after he got killed by Yokozuna, he was resurrected using the purple gear until he was betrayed by Paul Bearer, and that's when he went to the straight all black. Now, in addition to that, they were looking for the betrayal urn, the actual urn that Paul Bearer hit Undertaker in the head with from SummerSlam 1996. They were looking for that, and they were looking for the original Kane mask from his debut in 1997. Now, all of these three things were obviously they're linked together. They basically tell one complete story: the Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, and Paul Bearer story. So that's basically what they were doing. Is, because there wasn't a lot of traveling necessary for this episode, they basically did a lot of sitting around talking about the story. The Undertaker Kane story, the Undertaker Paul Bearer story. So if you already know that, that's the majority of this episode. But there was still some interesting stuff going on here. For instance, Undertaker was obviously brought on to do the memorabilia hunt, which was fun. He said that some of this stuff might be in storage, which, some of it was. Kane had a mask in his storage too, so they didn't really have to do a lot of traveling. But we still got some good stories. We talked about Kane, Undertaker, and Unibomb, the Glenn Jacobs, the original character, the character that Jim Cornette created for Kane, the Unibomb character from 1995 in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They showed clips of this. As I checked, it's not on the network, but they got clips of it. So maybe Cornette gave them the tape, or maybe they just decided, oh, hey, we do have this tape on the network. It would be nice if people actually got to watch it in full. I haven't seen it since it aired in 1995 when I was 11 years old. So I haven't seen this match in full in how many years has that been? I can't tell you. But this is the first time Undertaker and Kane actually worked together. And now the Civic Auditorium in Knoxville is right across the way from Kane's office as he sits as mayor. So they found a Kane mask in Kane's house. He has a mask. And they also found his original Unibomb gear, the mask and the gauntlets, which he painted himself because he didn't have anybody else to do it. So he painted. It was like a Jason Voorhees / Lord Humongous mask. If you've ever seen Mad Max, there's a character in Mad Max named Lord Humongous. There's actually was a wrestler named Lord Humongous. I think Sid was one of the original Lord Humongous. Sid Vicious. I think he actually wrestled under the name Lord Humongous too, but I don't think he was the Lord Humongous from Mid-South. He couldn't have been. He would be so old now. But there was a wrestler named Lord Humongous. There was probably several wrestlers named Lord Humongous. But there was, in one of the Mad Max movies, there was a character named Lord Humongous. And he had like this metal mask. It was kind of like the it was kind of like Jason Voorhees' mask. But Jason's mask is plastic, and this mask was steel or metal. But that's the kind of mask that Unibomb had. And it was painted red and black. It looked a lot like a prototype for Kane. And Kane had this in his office, not his office, but his garage or whatever. And he sent after they found the mask, they took a picture of it so that the archivists could do their thing. And then, just for completion's sake, they also wanted the gauntlet and the mask for Unibomb because it had such historical reference as far as it being the first mask that being the first gear that Kane wore the first time he and Undertaker ever wrestled in 1995. So at first, AJ Francis offered them $2,000 for the Unibomb gear and the mask and the gauntlets, which Kane said, look, the money's going to go to the children's hospital. I don't really want it, but I can't just give it to you for $2,000. So AJ upped it to $4,000, which Kane accepted. Uh, so then the archivists, they looked at the picture of the mask that Kane had in his storage. They did some real detective work, like literally looking at the mask that he wore at Bad Blood 1997 and compared it to the mask that they were being asked if this is the original mask. They found out that it was not the original mask. It was actually maybe his second mask. So the original mask is still missing, but the second mask is now something that they actually have. And since they don't have a lot of Kane gear, they decided to just take it because they don't have a lot of Kane stuff apparently in the WWE archives. So AJ offered him $8,000 for the whole set, the Unibomb stuff, and the Kane mask. Kane just like, look, let's make it an even 10. It's going to a children's hospital. And AJ was like, okay, he agreed. So it was no big deal, $10,000. The betrayal urn actually took some real time to chase that down. So it turns out that William Moody, aka Paul Bearer, was a real mortician. He really went to mortuary science class. I mean, if you kind of knew his career, you kind of knew that. But he went to mortuary school or mortuary science class with this guy named Jason Engler. And Jason Engler, when he started running a museum, he had a directory full of active morticians. And since William Moody kept his mortician's license current, he was able to get in contact with him, and they became friends. And at one point, William Moody actually took Paul Bearer. I should call him Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer took the urn to Jason Engler and gave it to him. So there was like a funeral museum in Houston, Texas, that actually had the betrayal urn in a display case, and this thing was worth $10,000. And Undertaker and AJ Francis went to talk to this guy about it, and it was cool. Like him and Paul Bearer were really friends, so he really didn't really want to give it away, but it wasn't. It was kind of his call, but not really because it was donated to the museum, and the museum. I think the president of the museum was a lady named Genevieve, and it was up to her to make the decision. So even though Undertaker was there to authenticate the thing, but really they talked to Genevieve about making a deal. So she of course cleared it with Engler, who was the real friend of Paul Bearer, and they were willing to make a deal, even though Engler looked literally like he was going to cry at at the thought of giving that thing away. And she was basically like, "Look, this thing is a draw. People come to see this. What can you give me in return?" And Ben Brown offered an original Paul Bearer suit, which would cost about $4,000, and one of his last urns. So it's another urn, but they have multiples of it. So apparently he had this same urn more than once. So they had multiples, duplicates of one of the last urns. And Ben Brown said, look, this betrayal urn is one of a kind. It's the only time they ever used it. So they traded a Paul Bearer suit and one of Paul Bearer's final urns for the betrayal urn. So that was pretty sweet. And the funeral directors and all them people, they accepted it. So it was pretty cool. The rest of the stuff was found in Undertaker's storage unit. So they also found something else in there that was pretty interesting too. They said Undertaker kept most of his own gear because he never really gave anything away because he had to keep up the mystique of the character, so he didn't give anything away. Everything that he really wore, or he kept it, so it was really in his storage. And they found his Phantom mask, the Phantom of the Opera mask that he wore. He didn't say how much the thing was worth, but they talked about how rare it was because he didn't wear it that long. He was wearing this Phantom of the Opera mask because Mabel broke his face in 1995. So he was wearing that Phantom of the Opera mask, and they weren't even looking for that, but they just happened to find it. And they were looking for the original purple gear, which is the long black coat with the purple inseam, and the purple gloves, and the purple the hat and the tie. That thing was worth $50,000. The purple gear was worth 50,000 dollars. Undertaker gave them the mask and the gear for nothing. Like it's that's crazy. Like he just said, take it. It's not doing anything here. You know, he just kind of felt like it that's where it should be. You know, so that was good stuff. You know, it was a pretty simple episode. Um, we didn't learn a lot except for it, but there was some really fun stuff, you know, to be had. You know, some fun stories between the guys or whatever. But I really enjoyed the Paul Bearer trip. You know, where we got to go meet Paul's friends and you know see that this guy basically, you know, he wanted to see this museum or whatever flourish, so he gave them something that they actually used, and it was actually a big draw for them, and they was able to replace it kind of in a way, trading value for value because that urn they wanted it so badly. But so at the end of the episode, they ended up with Unibomb's mask and gauntlets, Undertaker's coat, tie, hat, and gloves, and his Phantom mask, and a second Kane mask. So not bad. And they didn't really pay for any of it. They just paid $8,000 because, well, 10,000 because Kane wanted the money to be dedicated to the children's hospital. So that was it. This episode was fun, but it was kind of thin on the search. Like the first episode was really about the search and us meeting like wacky fans and stuff. But this one wasn't really like wacky fans. It was really emotional because these guys kind of kept it. They kept everything close to the vest. So it was emotional for them to go through, you know, history and find this stuff. But they weren't really as attached to it as fans would be because they kind of gave it away like this super expensive shit. They just kind of was like, "Man, take it. I don't care." Like whatever. But it was interesting. It was interesting anyway. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your time. Donate to the channel via Cash App or via Subscribe Star. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.